CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.
Music, which gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, and flight to imagination, is celebrated in online concerts and messages on social media. Artists use their voices and lyrics to combat the coronavirus. The cholera outbreak in Longi, Kribi, is advancing alarmingly, with 42 persons down with the pathology. Medical experts prescribe the strict respect of hygiene measures to halt the contaminations. The National Gendarmerie Road Safety Task Force continues its monitor, control and punish campaign to rid the highways of delinquent drivers who risk the lives of commuters. They were at the Yaoundé-Douala stretch this weekend. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 News.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Artists in Cameroon and the world are celebrating music amidst the COVID-19 pandemic on the theme Celebration and History. The expression of emotions through harmonic frequencies has been taken to platforms like Facebook, where live concerts are organized imposed by physical distancing. Amongst them are Catino, Corazon and Loco, who thrilled their fans. Joyce Tata narrates how this medium has been beneficial to the artists.
2020 registers a peculiar World Music Day celebration, with musicians dancing and singing in all pomp, communicating just with the cameras, with the hope of being followed by their fans. Indeed, it is a situation as fans from home kept on popping in comments as they followed Cameroonian artist Catino's live concert on Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, Zoom have been some of the social media platforms celebrities in music in and out of Cameroon make use of to reach out to their fans who learn from what they watch.
I was trying to entertain my fans because, everybody was so stressed about the pandemic. So I think as an entertainer and an artist, I have to make sure I give them some entertainment.
We grafted the project called Voice Excel. Vox Excel helps music lovers to be empowered through their phones, that is via WhatsApp.
Some have described the current situation as a killjoy due to COVID-19, even though an open door for other artists.
It was one of the best so far. I heard a lot of people coming into my inbox telling me how they were so blessed about it.
The coronavirus pandemic has reduced the podium of musical artists to the digital space, with many determined to keep dishing out to their fans the best of their talent, because music remains a universal language.
In the littoral region, like elsewhere, artists have used the celebration to deplore the irregular payments of authors' rights, sometimes blamed on the cacophony in artist management bodies. With the ravaging COVID-19, they've been unable to adequately reach their fans and opt for private performances, which yield quite a little. Rosaline Fossa has the details.
It is a day of celebration for artists, and some of them have rather used this June 21, a day set aside to celebrate music, to reflect on the recognition given them by Cameroonians. Some artists wish that their works be given the honor they deserve. We have lost icons this year, and the situation of artists concerning authors' rights is another problem. With this health crisis, it's more challenging. This year is special, so I have decided to bring assistance to the population of Bonaberi by distributing face masks, but we look forward to that moment when problems of authors' rights will become history in Cameroon, especially with the coronavirus that has put all what concerns showbiz into standby. The worst of it all is the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic that has stopped artists from communing with their fans, especially on a day like this.
We are obliged to respect social distancing measures, and it is very complicated because our art requires proximity with the public.
Far from these challenges, the city of Douala will, however, be a center of celebration of the World Music Day with a concert to pay homage to Maman Geya and Claude Ndam, as well as a showcase at the Chaumière Jazz Club. This will be animated by artists and staff of some media houses as from 7 p.m.
In the West region, as part of the 30th edition of the International Music Day, CRTV's proximity channel Poala FM has regrouped artists in a concept dubbed Zik de Confiné. It was an opportunity for the chief of station, Charlene Flondemier, to enable local artists sing, talk, and also tell their stories about their projects and sensitize on the coronavirus. Prizes were awarded to the winners after the program, and the rendezvous was taken for next year. No matter where we are from, everyone loves music, which is something that we are all touched by. Cameroonian artists have been able to impact lives through their work, and even though some have passed on, like Manu Dibango, they live on. Although the World Music Day is celebrated without the usual splendor, about 100 songs have been composed and produced during this COVID-19 period in Cameroon. Gilbert Ongene tells us more.
It never rains, but it pours. This English dictum aptly describes what happened to the Cameroon music family and scene when on the early hours of Tuesday, March 24, news of the passing on of Cameroonian songwriter and saxophonist of international repute, Emmanuel Njoke Dibango, popularly known as Manu Dibango, came like a thunderbolt. The acclaimed father of the world single Soul Makossa is said to have succumbed at a French hospital to COVID-19 at the age of 87, leaving behind his biological and musical families devastated. Three months later, Fumban-born singer and songwriter Claude Ndam gave up the ghost, struggling from a protracted illness. His fans had hardly finished wondering where he was going to, a question which happens to be the title of his hit track, Ungweya, when another monument of Cameroon music, Ngeya La Route, fondly known by fans as Maman Geya, followed suit. Le travail, la patrie. Hers was a pathetic battle for survival with a disease which left loved ones and others pleading with God to end her life and free her from the suffering. World Music Day 2020 is therefore being observed in a symphony of melancholic melodies, a situation made worse by the coronavirus, which is the uninvited guest to the celebration that appears to have a knee on the neck of this edition of the day, preventing it from breathing normally.
And now on to COVID-19 news. Some 900 per-educators from the subdivisions in the Noon have been charged to take information on the coronavirus to their communities to keep the pandemic at bay. They were trained by health officials with the support of administrative authorities and urged to convince others on the appropriate use of face masks and the respect of sanitary measures. Go Henry Tesambe has the details.
The Noon division comes second with the number of confirmed cases of the coronavirus in the West region after the MIFI. Members of the elite of the division, grouped under the association Kudla, launched a campaign to curb the propagation of the pandemic in the division. Reason why some peer educators have been trained to sensitize the population to respect barrier measures taken by the government to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. The training exercise was carried out in all the 9 subdivisions of the Noon and ended over the weekend in Fumbut. A total of 900 peer educators will be in the nooks and crannies of the division in the days ahead for the campaign.
It is a beginning of a campaign that those who have been trained will go into the field, maybe to empower a citizen population amongst the families, headquarters and so on, neighborhood, maybe to make them prevent these pandemics. That the only way to fight against is sensitization and prevention.
The participants have been distributed face masks during the event that was presided over by the divisional officer for Fumbot, Manu Digi.
At a time when communities are preoccupied with staying safe from the coronavirus, the Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation is insisting on the respect of hygiene rules and the availability of water. A training on water purification and solar water disinfection methods has been organized in Akonolinga to empower the population. Ewane Epole tells us more.
The treatment of water for drinking and washing of hands as barrier measures to curb the propagation of the coronavirus was the substance of the training workshop at Akonolinga, organized by the National Committee for Development of Technologies in the Ministry of Scientific Research and Innovation.
We have a big problem of potable water. We are hoping that this training will help us.
In low-income countries, you have people, poor people are very exposed to. So for them, it will be a method to know how to wash their hand, to use clean water to wash their hand, and to prevent the coronavirus.
During the forum, participants were drilled through exposés on how to purify water by solar water disinfection method.
The method is simple. You just have to take a plastic bottle using for drinking water, not more than 3 liters, because you can use 2.5 liters to fill with clean water. If the water is not clean, it's better to filter it first of all, and you just expose on sunlight for 6 hours. If you have sunlight for 6 hours, you are sure that after 6 hours your water is potable, you can drink it.
The move by Minrezi is part of government's measures to assist the local population in the mitigation of common waterborne diseases and in particular COVID-19.
The respect of barrier measures to stall the spread of the contagious coronavirus in the Advanced Institute of Public Management in Yaoundé has been appraised. The Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reform, Joseph Lay, was at the Institute to exchange with the teachers and the students on the need to adhere to the recommendations of governments and the World Health Organization. Emmanuel Avenue was there on our reports for the 7:30 News.
Presence at the Advanced Institute of Public Management is twofold. First, evaluate the measures put in place to check COVID-19 in the institution, and secondly, encourage the students and staff to work diligently during this challenging period.
Work must not stop, as the head of state said. Work is continuing here at ESMP, and I'm glad to notice that.
After visiting the classrooms one after another and being shown the different measures in place, the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reform seems satisfied with what he has seen.
Barrier measures are well respected. Everything is going on, and I have no doubt on the fact that things will continue like this here. I also noticed that we have a new building here at ESMP, because some months ago this building and this space has been rehabilitated thanks to an amount of money given by the government, by the head of state. We can notice now that everything is okay here.
The Advanced Institute for Public Management trains civil servants in public management with the aim to render them more efficient in the management of public affairs.
Away from the Central region, a consignment of hygiene and protective gadgets have been donated to the Mbororo community in the Adamawa region. The donor is the Mbororo Social and Cultural Development Association, Buskuda, preoccupied about protecting its people who are mostly nomads at a time when the coronavirus is advancing. Celeste Sumbele has the details.
Known as Fulbe, the Mbororos are nomadic cattle herders and traders. For this reason, they are more likely to contract or spread the deadly corona pandemic. Reasons why the Mbororo Social and Cultural Development Association, Boskuda, took the bull by the horn to sensitize their fellow brothers and sisters in the bushes of the Adamo region on the existence of the deadly virus and the different preventive measures prescribed by the state.
Being part of the population, we cannot stay aside. So we need to help the Cameroonian government to eradicate this pandemic forever in the world in general.
A good consignment of health kits comprising of soap, buckets, face masks were distributed to the vulnerable population and even some public offices in Gaunduri.
I am very happy to receive the gift of Boskuda Association. We are going to use them well, and we encourage this association to go ahead and to continue to promote and protect the right of the population.
The exercise, officiated by the 3rd Assistant SGO for the Vina, was also an occasion for the national president of Boskuda, Adamu Amadu, to inaugurate the Adamu Regional Office of Boskuda in Gaunduri.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
In one of our top stories, the number of cholera cases in Longi Kribi is on the increase, and health experts have cautioned the population to adopt hygiene measures to stop the contaminations. So far, 42 persons have contracted the disease and 4 persons are reported dead. LCNG reports that it is a huge challenge for health authorities, who are also concerned about flattening the COVID-19 curve.
The locality of Longi today counts 42 suspected cases of cholera epidemic, among which are 20 Cameroonians and 9 Nigerians. We have carried out sensitization campaign in this community so as to help them understand that cholera is real and they must respect their hygienic practices so as to stay safe. The inhabitants of the area say the absence of latrines, potable water and negligence of the population to hygienic practices are the main causes of the outbreak of the epidemic.
If you take a good look at the area, you see that a lot of that, and if you take a good look around too, you not see toilets. We use the boats as our toilets, thereby using the river too as a means to clean our anus. Yeah, so those are the things that cause the cholera, and the kind of the water that we drink here, it's a very bad one. And it was just lately we buried a boy of about 15 years old because of cholera.
For those who are conscious of the danger, prevention is better than cure.
I heard about cholera and I can see it. So we are trying to keep the environment clean, try to wash our hands, and our food, we take care of the food that we are eat. We make sure that we wash it well before we eat.
To effectively eradicate cholera in Longi, the Kribi 2 Council has joined in the fight by sensitizing the population and disinfecting the locality. The epidemic, which broke out 1 month ago, has claimed the lives of 4 people.
Still in health news, the inhabitants of the Far North region have been enjoined to defy fear and trust in the quality of services offered at the Marua Regional Hospital. The institution's director, Dr. Gerard Fetse Tama, made the call following the reticence of the population to consult in the hospital due to the scare of being contaminated with the coronavirus. Sylvester Atemking has the details.
The call by the authorities of the Marua Regional Hospital comes after a drop in the number of consultations per month due to the fear of COVID-19. With this, there is a growing apprehension that patients are afraid of going to the hospital for fear of getting infected or even being diagnosed with the disease.
COVID-19 are not patients coming from from heaven. It's you, it's me. So when you are suffering, when you are sick, you don't know whether you are COVID-19 positive or not. It's when you reach the hospital that they tell you.
Here in the hospital, we have put in place a certain number of management tools. You can see the secret. When you enter, they have to test the temperature. They have to ask you 1 or 2 or 3 questions to know whether you can be suspected or not.
To the authorities of the hospital, the medics masters the situation on the ground, and there is no room for panicking.
We have to invite people to come at the hospital. It is their hospital. And here we have all specialization unit here in the Marwa Regional Hospital.
Medical sources indicate that the pandemic is not alarming in the far north region, given that the Ministry of Public Health has set up specialized centers in the region to handle cases of the coronavirus.
With easing measures adopted by governments across the globe, many are those who have resumed full activity in shops and other places of entertainment. While it is valid to ensure businesses thrive again, it is also imperative that the population remains conscious that negligence can lead to infections. As the numbers keep rising, we are urged to protect ourselves and to protect others. Baldwin Sama is at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, where he comes back to these recommendations and the new infections that stand today at 282. Good evening, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Esther Kiman. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, where the health of Cameroonians has always been and it remains a priority to public health experts in the Ministry of Public Health ever since we have had the spread of COVID-19 in the country. And this Sunday, 1,530 samples were collected. All these samples were tested, and out of these samples, 282 persons were tested positive for COVID-19 in the country. This Sunday, we have had 8 persons who have recovered from COVID-19 and 2 Cameroonians died of COVID-19 this Sunday. Needless to remind us that these figures concern the different regions for the country concerned with the spread of COVID-19, and these figures can change at any time because they keep on receiving data or statistics as far as the spread of COVID-19 from the different regions are concerned. And tonight, with our guest, Dr. Eric Tanzi, a public health expert in the Ministry of Public Health, we wish to look at what it's been referred to, some of these patients referred to as asymptomatic patients, and how possible it is for them to equally contaminate others. Good evening, doctor.
Yeah, good evening, Baldwin.
More and more, when somebody is being referred to as an asymptomatic person, a patient for COVID-19, meaning that this person does not produce some of these symptoms of COVID-19, how possible is it, because there's a lot of controversy as to whether such an individual can contaminate others? Is an asymptomatic person already declared officially as a patient, and how possible is it for him to contaminate another?
Yeah, thank you very much, Baldwin. It's quite sensitive, but we must stay here very clear. You know, first of all, I should appreciate the population for being bothered to go for screening. I think most asymptomatic cases were people who have bothered to go for a voluntary test. Now, talking on the aspect if these asymptomatic cases are dangerous or not, but there are a lot of thoughts. But mind you, this is still a new disease that is ravaging over the world, and we must be very, very careful here. Once you have a disease, I think preventive measures should be taken, while observation also being monitored in case of a symptom that comes up. So each and every one, we should forget about whatever philosophy or whatever thoughts that might come up, and consider each and every one that have been declared positive as a potential individual that can transmit COVID-19, and all barrier measures should be respected, including medical advices that have been given to the individual as well as the family members. And just like other population that we are also giving the information, we have to take this serious, and especially in Cameroon, we should avoid contradicting and controversies as far as COVID is concerned. We stand for all asymptomatic cases have to observe a period of 14 days as prescribed, and until your results become negative, can we declare you free.
And finally, Doctor, when we receive the figures of the day, for example, the number of persons tested positive, number of persons who have recovered, and the number of persons who have died, how do you guys assemble all these figures? How do you come about with these statistics for a day?
You should remember here that if there is one ministry that is very organized, is the Ministry of Public Health. We have an organigram that runs from the central level right up to the district level, and as far as COVID-19 is concerned, and with the decentralization, we have all screening centers, and all these screening centers are reporting. A database has been constructed that each time a sample is collected, a sample is analyzed, being it negative or positive, it is being keyed in this database all around the country, in all the 10 regions, you know, and with all the districts that are concerned. So at each point in time, we have data manager at the central level that can look within the database and tell you that in the extreme north region or in southwest region, we've recorded this number of persons that have been tested, and these are the samples that have been analyzed for today. We can be able to tell you that these are the number of negative cases, these are the number of positive cases. Just like you announced here, the total number of persons that were screened today came from all over the region, and this is due to the database that has been put in place that gives this report.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for making available those answers as far as our questions are concerned. During their traditional press briefing this evening, public health experts of this emergency operations center used the opportunity to evaluate the different strategies, communication strategies they have been using so far in order to sensitize the population on the dangers as far as COVID-19 is concerned, thanking the key role played so far by different media organs, especially CRTV, in informing Cameroonians on what they need to do in order to avoid being infected with COVID-19. They equally talked about the door-to-door strategy that they have been able to use so far. 1,530 samples collected and tested in Cameroon this Sunday, with 282 persons tested positive for COVID-19, 8 persons who have recovered from COVID-19 this Sunday, and 2 Cameroonians died of COVID-19 this Sunday. Back to you, Esther Kima.
Thanks very much, Borden Sama. It is definitely a novel coronavirus, and research continues to ascertain just how dangerous asymptomatic cases are. But if you're positive, then you got to confine yourself for at least 14 days. In other news, members of the Civil Society Public Finance Reference Group have resolved to work in synergy with government to check excesses in the management of public finances. This was at a workshop in Yaoundé focused on transparency and the impact of the coronavirus on the 2020 finance law of the Republic of Cameroon. Gerard Nanji Eyambe has the details.
In an attempt to facilitate the participation of Cameroonians in decision-making and increase governmental accountability in budgetary choices, core members of the civil society public finance reference groups are poised to ensure transparency and fight against corruption.
The new law of 11 July 2018, which talks about the Code of Public Finance Transparency and Good Governance, every government manager who is responsible in managing public funds must be responsible in giving accounts to the people. Everyone working at government institutions needs to be aware that where you work, you are criminally liable if you don't report financial misappropriation.
The global health crisis has made the situation even worse. This explains why the impacts of COVID-19 on the finance bill came under review.
There is a huge budget deficit that has been created because what was projected that the government was going to generate as revenue, what you call revenue streams. Government needs to take the necessary measures to look for alternative financial resources to meet up with this budget deficit.
It is geared towards ensuring good governance policy and consequently the amelioration of living standard of citizens, especially vulnerable groups like women and children.
As announced in one of our top stories, the non-respect of speed limits, road unworthiness of vehicles and failure to wear seatbelts are the main causes of road accidents in the country. The National Gendarmerie Road Safety Task Force was along the Yaoundé-Douala Highway to book recalcitrant drivers who put the lives of commuters in danger. Kylian Dandifon was part of the Monitor, Control and Punish campaign. Here's his report.
Several uncleared vehicles on the Yaoundé-Douala National Road No. 3 Saturday, June 20, narrowing the road for more accidents. Another common cause of accidents registered by the National Gendarmerie Road Safety Task Force for 6 hours in just one of the 2 fixed control posts at Samba.
We have 25 cases since morning. Among the 25 cases, 15 have accepted to pay their fines of 25,000. And the 10 others, we have taken their statements and the fine will be channeled in courts.
Other offences of unused tires, failure to put on safety belts and overloading abound, and defaulters pay the corresponding penalties. Control of government's anti-COVID-19 measures is also a priority.
The measures at our level for our personnel have been taken. There's water and soap to wash hands. There's hydroalcoholic liquid, not only for us, but for those who have been filed before arriving at the office to pay their fine. They wash their hands or they put hydroalcoholic gel on their hands. In the cars, we have controlled many cars, and you see that in the public cars, transport cars. All the passengers are wearing masks.
The Monitor, Control and Punish National Gendarmerie Dynamic Road Safety Campaign continues to make our highways safer by cracking down on delinquent users.
To end this newscast, we take you to the Littoral region where the 2019 administrative accounts of the Douala City Council have been examined and adopted by the councillors. During the session, resolutions reached out focused on infrastructural development in the city, boosting economic activity and addressing the coronavirus in 2020. Gladys Atemba Chechuma Banla reports on the sitting chaired by Roger Mbasa Ndine.
A session initially scheduled to take place in March but postponed due to the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in Cameroon. The team in place may not have been the one that executed the budget, but the records and the projects executed are clear. This session of the City Council that took place in Douala was thus an occasion for the City Mayor, Dr. Roger Mbasa, and his City Councillors to examine how the 2019 budget was executed. They observed that the team at the time faced difficulties in income generation. That notwithstanding, the budget, which stood at 37 billion in income and close to 36 billion in expenditure, had a carry forward of close to 2 billion CFA francs. Some of the projects executed in the preceding financial year include the construction of drainage canals, rehabilitation of secondary roads, public spaces, and parts of the City Council building that was ravaged by fire. The new team in place has vowed to intensify the fight against urban disorder. Vuri Senior Divisional Officer Benjamin Butu, taking part in the session, reminded the councillors of their responsibility of addressing the development challenges of the population at the local level.
And that will be all for this edition of the 7:30 News. As we take leave of you, we remind you of our major stories: music, which gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, and flight to imagination, has been celebrated in online
In this connection, We should avoid stigmatizing